Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? So good to connect with you today. I see so many of your loving comments, and there's approximately 111 people in the house. What a sacred number. So we'll wait for a few minutes to get started. And today, my intention was to shed light on the energies that we're facing in November. It's very intense right now, and that may be an understatement. Many of us have been feeling these waves of intensity since the past 2 months, past 3 months, and it's very evident in the collective field. I myself have been going through variations of this intensity, and I was also reading some of the comments from people when we asked people to share some of the challenges that you're going through. And the collective theme that's coming up is absolute exhaustion, derailment, lack of motivation, feeling like this feelings of stuck is very prominent right now. And I'm going to go deep into that and why there's many aspects to this. So we'll wait for a few moments as people jump in. So I wanted to start by sharing a very interesting episode that happened recently when Eldora and I were in Morocco. Um, I had a very interesting encounter with Ascended Master Thoth, and I wanted to share that story with you. I was in this massage with Eldora, and I was feeling intense energy running through me the whole day. And I was like, thank God we have booked a massage. And it was a really nice hotel in Morocco. And when I was in the massage, the music had this like kind of a spiritual vibe, like there's some moments in life when your guides orchestrate everything. So I feel this was definitely one of those moments. Like the music started playing and it had like this eerie Halloweeny kind of effect with like these enchanting vocals and very spiritual kind of music. And I'm like, whoa, they have some good music in this place. So I was like really connecting with the music. And for me, music especially is a portal or a dimension to a higher plane of existence because music vibrates, sound vibrates in the seventh dimension. So I feel that my guides were orchestrating this massage scenario in a way that my body is completely relaxed, and my mind started drifting upwards into the higher dimensions. And I was so relaxed. I was like getting the best or one of the best massages. And suddenly I started feeling these words coming in very powerfully. It's like one of those moments when your guides start channeling to you, and that usually happens when your body's fully relaxed and you don't have any distractions around you. And at that moment, I just heard Thoth Hermes. I heard Thoth Hermes Trismegistus the Great, and I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. What's up, Thoth? I didn't know what was happening. And then I suddenly saw the picture of Thoth like hovering above me, like an image of him was very visible in my third eye as if he's hovering above me. And it dawned on me in that moment that Master Thoth was connecting with me in that moment. And this was not a random occurrence because a few months earlier I had connected with Thoth myself, and I had asked for his guidance in certain to be my guide and to assist me as I'm unlocking a lot of the Egyptian codes these days. And I was reading the Emerald tablets, and I was really connecting with Thoth's energy. And I asked him to be a part of my life. And I have a lot of great reverence and respect for him based on the teachings that I've learned so far. And Thoth came in, and I realized he's actually here. He's answering my call, and I was in shock and awe. So I allowed this experience, and I suddenly felt this great reverence and respect and humility. It was like the kind of humility you feel when a student meets their master. And I didn't feel like I'm meeting my teacher Thoth for the first time. I felt like it was a reunion after many lifetimes. So it was such a momentous occasion for me. My soul was actually jumping in joy and ecstasy. And I literally, in the massage, I started shedding tears of joy and also tears of reverence. And I started saying, "Thank you, dear master, for being in my life. I so look forward to learning from you. And I fully and wholeheartedly accept your guidance into my life. It is such an honor. And I will do everything within my power to do justice to your teachings." Something to that effect. And the next thing that happened just blew my mind. So at that moment, the massage therapist started massaging my head as I was saying these words. And while she was massaging my head, this energy started flowing through the top of my crown. And it felt like these snake like Kundalini energies, like many golden waves of energy started penetrating through my crown. And it looked like Kundalini moves upwards, but this was a golden snake like energy, but it was moving downwards. So I literally felt, because this is not the first time I felt this sensation, I literally felt like it was a higher self merger. And my whole body was taken over by this feeling. And I was in shock and awe. I was just allowing this to take place, and I felt these golden snakes moving through me. And I also saw many Egyptian hieroglyphs. I saw light codes being installed in my DNA, and I was being shown that this is a higher self merger of an aspect of myself in the sixth density that is from the soul family of Thoth. So it's like, so soul level things are so hard to describe in words that you just accept them and you don't analyze them. But since then, I felt so many positive changes in my personality, in my demeanor, and like I'm a lot more focused, a lot more sharp, and I'm really like connecting with Thoth these days. And the best news is that Thoth also said in that encounter that he's going to be not only working closely with me to download teachings, but also for our New Earth Mystery School next month, he's going to be channeling the Hermetic principles of thought. And we're going to be teaching that to our audience in the New Earth Mystery School. So if you are interested in learning about how the magic of Egypt works and how you can apply these principles of magic that was taught by one of the greatest teachers that I know who walked this planet, Thoth, these principles can be applied into your daily life. Our guides are very practical. They teach in a way that cuts through the bullshit. It's not esoteric. It's not like shishi fufu. It's They cut to the point and they give us practical tips and tools and advice that any single person can apply in their daily life. And that's become the theme of the New Earth Mystery School. We're always focused on ascension support, providing healings, providing support, and whatever is needed the most in the collective. Okay, so we have 300 people in the house. So let's get started. Okay, so November is a very powerful month. Okay, November represents a mirror. It represents, it's showing us whatever's not working in our life and what needs to change or come to an end. So you can think of it as this is the month you reap what you sow. Like October was harvest. October was also Samhain. October 31st is Halloween, which is actually based on the tradition of Samhain. And Samhain is signifying the death and the rebirth process. So this theme will come up a lot in November because November is all about change and new beginnings. And also, main theme of November is letting go of the old, letting go of all the things that need to be cleared out of our life. And the people who are struggling with things that are representing their past, it's it's all in alignment. It's all being shown from your higher self. So another way of saying this is your past will continue to show up in your face until you are ready to let it go. And I can explain that in another way. Is I recently bought this really cool T-shirt in the mall, and I love the quote that it has on it. and you might have seen me wearing it in some pictures. It says, "Stop cheating on your future with your past. It's over. Let it go." So that's the same theme that's coming up in November. It's about letting go of your past so you can create your future. So we're constantly cheating ourselves of opportunities that want to come into our life because we're so afraid of letting go of the familiar. You know what I mean? So we're being asked to really step up and look inwards at all aspects of our lives that are not working, that are draining our energy, that are keeping us repressed, keeping us small, and all the things that we need to let go of at this point. So another theme of November is the number one, and that's something we pay a lot of attention to. 111 is an angel number that means new beginnings. So in a way, November is like hitting the reset button, and it's an opportunity to step into a new beginning. It doesn't come with a guarantee of stepping into that new beginning because you have to make the changes. If you don't make the changes, then you have to repeat the old cycle. That's also a new beginning of a new cycle, but you have a choice. Do you want to repeat an old cycle until you get it? Or do you want to create a new cycle and let go of the old? That's the biggest theme. And energetically, we're paying a lot of attention to November 11th, which is the 1111 portal. And the 1111 portal, which takes place on November 11th, is governed by the star system of the Pleiades. And the Pleiadians always ask us to make positive changes towards our ascension. They are our ascension guides. So everything that's happening is pushing us forward, and it's going to enable us to face all the fears and hurdles that have been holding us back. So this is a time to honor all the debts, all the things that we need to let go of. And if we focus on these things, then we'll automatically align to the right path. So some of the themes that came out, I'm going to read some of the comments that people shared with us. Um, I feel like I'm just stuck. I can't seem to move forward with anything, like something is holding me down. I have no energy, no desire to do anything creative. I've stopped caring, feeling numb, feeling traumatized. So these are all the themes that are coming up. Some people are feeling this feeling of tiredness, cloudiness, not knowing which direction to go in life. And what what our guides want to share in regards to that is that your soul is changing direction. It's like you're on a you're on a large you're on a large cruise ship that's been going at a certain velocity, and it's been going at a with a certain momentum, and everything has been moving in that direction for years, and suddenly you get the command that you need to make a 180-degree turn. So think of this period, think of the current period of not only November, these last 2 years and next 2 years. Think of this as the time frame given to humanity to completely reorient and change direction. And when we say change direction, we don't just mean like go from doing A to doing B, right? That's also linear. It doesn't mean quit your job at McDonald's and join Burger King, because then you're repeating an old cycle. You're not doing anything new. What we mean by changing direction is to realize what's happening on planet Earth energetically. And what's happening energetically is that we're going from the third dimension to the fifth dimension. And that comes with a completely new operating system. It comes with a completely new set of rules. Like the old rules don't apply. So the first thing we have to do is, instead of sitting and not knowing what to do, we have to learn the new operating system that our body will adapt to over time, so that you can learn how to navigate in this new reality. So everything is done in a way that You're given a certain religion, you're birthed into a certain family, you're given certain choices, who to marry. Everything's like nicely fixed into a box. It's like your life was almost pre-programmed, and just the illusion of choice is presented to you as free will. And everybody follows more or less the same patterns. And then we realize when we're 60, 70, 80, when most of our life is behind us, we realize, oh my God, like I didn't do like 90% of my bucket list. I missed the whole point of life. So the reason we keep operating this way in 3D is because 3D always operates on logic. But the new operating system that's being installed in us is based on the heart. It's all based on intuition. It's logic, but the wisdom is driven by the heart. So, another way of saying it is if you're feeling stuck in your mind, not knowing which direction you're going in, it's because you need to go from your mind into your heart, and that requires stillness. Okay, so pay attention to that. Stillness is the key right now. Stillness is the most important tool that you will have in your repository during this transition period. If we do not make time to be still during this phase of tumultuous change in our life, we're not going to know how to navigate forward. And that becomes especially important as we learn how to navigate in the fifth dimensional consciousness, because in 5D consciousness, it's all about creating with the power of your mind that's driven by the wisdom of your heart. Okay? So think of it this way: planet Earth has already evolved, planet Earth is already in the fifth dimension, but we're not. Okay, many of us are not yet there. We're learning the process of going from the third dimension into the fifth dimension. And what that means is that we were so used to doing things, knowing everything, knowing the next step, knowing what to do next. We were so, because we had limited choices, we were literally, our choices were given to us in the false pretext of free will by society. But now, in this new paradigm, we have to operate without all of these shackles, without the knowing. And fifth dimensional consciousness is all about surrendering to the plan of your higher self. And the whole context of living in fifth dimensional consciousness operates from not knowing what's the next step, not knowing what's coming next, being able to surrender, and not knowing, writing all your goals and not caring and not knowing how to even get there. So this is very unnerving to the mind, and it takes practice. And the way to practice this state of acceptance of what's coming, acceptance of what you wish to create, acceptance of um, whatever life is throwing at you is there as a gift to teach me what changes I need to make in order to navigate into this whole new brave unknown new world that my mind cannot even comprehend. So this requires a lot of stillness, and one of the biggest tools I tell everyone is take at least 5 to 10 minutes first thing in the morning when you wake up, before you even get out of bed. That's the best time, because before you get out of bed, your mind is still in a theta state. You're going from your dream state out into the beta state, which is your active state. So theta is like the most like calm state your mind can vibrate, where you're kind of like in this dreamy state and in a place of no thought and no mind. And that is the place where infinite potential exists. And that is the place that all gurus and all enlightened teachers teach about. If you can access that state even for 5 to 10 minutes upon waking up, and if you can maintain that state, you will get immense clarity in your life. So the practice is, before you wake up, let's say you open your eyes, instead of waking up, just place your hands on your heart and allow yourself to breathe, and don't think. Don't think what you have to do that day. Don't think what you're going to eat for breakfast. Don't think what lays ahead of you. Don't think, and just pay attention to your breath and start filling up. Connect with Source Prime Creator, connect with your higher guides, and ask them to start sending you golden creation source energy. Ask them to send you Christed codes into your body. And as you're breathing in, breathe in these Christed codes. Open up your crown chakra and breathe in these Christed codes. Bring in this golden energy as if you're breathing it in and filling up every ember, every particle, every fiber of your being is being filled up with these golden codes. And when you fill up your body with this light, you are becoming more one with your higher self. And these are these are things that are extremely important in this time. Most people don't realize how important it is for us to practice these things, like bringing in these light codes, merging with our higher self, because we're going through this metamorphosis. We're going through that stage where the caterpillar is in that pressure chamber. And it's that's one of the reasons I wore this t-shirt. It says light worker, with the light worker spreading their wings. And this is the stage humanity is in right now. We're in the stage where we're just cracking that shell open and we're about to spread our wings. But that is also the most uncomfortable phase, because that is the phase where the pressure, the sheer pressure of being in that cocoon becomes too immense, and the pressure cracks the cocoon open. So if you're thinking like this pressure is too hard or life is too hard, just remember that this pressure is exactly what's needed to get you out of your comfort zone. And Eldora also mentioned this in the theme of her last energy update, where she said um, that your light is being expanded. And I wanted to touch on that as well. Your light is being expanded, and you are being asked to get out of your comfort zone. Okay. So right now, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like everything's uphill, if you're feeling like I used to be able to do 110 things before and now I can't accomplish anything, it's because your light is being expanded. And what happens when light is expanded? The way it works is that light vibrates as wave particles, right? Light is wave particles, and our physical body is a solid particle. So, quantum theory and string theory teaches us that energy can exist as a wave or a particle or a still solid particle. So, right now, think of all the solid particles in your body are trying to merge with these waves. And that's causing your particles to fragment. That's causing your physical particles to like be pushed apart to create space for that new light to enter. So if all this new light is flooding into our body, and our body's vibration is very slow in all the dimensions, the physical dimension is one of the slowest dimension, because the physical dimension, our physical body, is just light slowed down, slowed down, slowed down, slowed down, until the point that it appears as dense matter. In reality, everything is light, but physicality is just the illusion of light appearing as dense matter. So because our physical body has greater difficulty adapting to this huge amount of energy that's coming in, we experience all these symptoms. And these symptoms are a direct result of your body trying to cope with this immense light that's coming in. So another way of thinking of that is that all this cosmic radiation, all this light that's coming in from the great central source, it's here to make us get out of our comfort zone, and it's here to overload our body so that we are forced to expand. So we're forced to spread our wings. And it also not just causes discomfort in our physical body, also our nervous system and our the glands, our organs, all of these things are affected. So it can feel extremely exhausting. It can feel like fatigue. It can feel like you're not feeling balanced. And in this particular phase, your body comes first, because you have to realize that the fifth dimensional operating system completely depends on the health of your body. If you have a vessel that's clogged up by eating dense foods like fast foods and meat and poultry and dairy and sugars and all the things that are not good for you, are that make your body feel dense, they're good sometimes, but within reason. Um, I'll take this time to interject that we recommend a 95% vegan diet and a 5% non-vegan diet. And in the non-vegan, we include chicken, we include fish. We sometimes eat meat, but we don't recommend red meat. We completely recommend, if you're experiencing exhaustion and fatigue, then stay away from sugar, stay away from alcohol and all those things that affect you, um, and throw off the balance of your body. And it's very, very important to drink clean, pure, crystalline water. Um, the best source of water is an organic spring. If you don't have access to that, then there's many water delivery systems that you can subscribe to. But water is the essence of your operating system, because think of the water. If your body is the computer, then water is the circuitry. Okay, think of it that way. If you don't have enough water running through your computer system, your hard drive's going to crash. So clear water is extremely important, and we have to allow the vibration of our body to gradually become less dense, more light. And as we eat cleaner foods, organic foods, as we rest and rejuvenate, listen to your body and listen to your emotions. Both of these physical symptoms and your emotional symptoms are messages from the divine. So these are all reorientations. This is your training period that's bringing you back in alignment. Like I said, your ship is being turned 180 degrees right now. So pay attention to what you put in your body, because that's going to be the vehicle that allows you to ascend into the higher dimensions. And what also happens is that when you start eating lighter, when you start eating clean, when you take time to pause and meditate, then over time, when you're bringing all these light codes into your body every morning, over time, what happens is that your DNA, what scientists call junk DNA, which is like 90% of our DNA, um, our junk DNA slowly starts to reassemble itself and slowly starts to reconnect. And we're actually 12-strand DNA beings. We've been whittled down to two strands, which means we're only able to function with logic and survival. We know how to survive in this world, and we know how to use our brains to make decisions. But the other 10 strands that are missing are the ones that allow us to navigate in higher dimensions of reality. They allow us to receive guidance from our higher self. They allow us to connect with other planes and look at the world from a bird eye view. So you don't feel stuck in a cage anymore. So this whole feeling of feeling stuck in this cage, like this world is too dense, the cage is in your mind. You have to realize you're not trying to get out of any physical cage. The cage is within your body. Okay, so pay attention to these words and really take care of your body and open it up. And this is affecting all things. It's affecting children, it's affecting the animals, even the trees and the plants. Every form of life is being affected by this humongous energy that's coming in from the great central sun. And this is all part of a plan. So know that nothing is happening at random. When we see all this fear in the media, all these distractions, all of these negative thoughts that are being bombarded into our reality 24 by 7, these are all distractions. And that I also wanted to talk about how we're constantly self-sabotaging ourselves and holding ourselves back. Because if you're supposed to learn how to operate from your mind, right? The fifth dimensional consciousness is operating from the wisdom of your heart using the power of your mind. What do we mean by the power of your mind? And these are some of these things we're teaching in great depth in the New Earth Mystery School. So I highly encourage you to enroll by going to eldoraandsiman.love, because next year we're going to be rolling out a course called Human to Superhuman. And in that, we're going to share the details of how to master your mind, how to master your thought, how to clear your mental state, how to clear your emotional state. Because these are things that we used to know in ancient Atlantis, in Lemuria, um, many thousands of years ago. And these are states of a normal human being operating system. So learning how to navigate in the fifth dimension is like learning how to ride a bike. We've done it before, we've just forgotten. And it's very easy to learn it again, but you just need to know the basics. So we're being asked to expand our light, and the metamorphosis stage can be painful, and it is supposed to be uncomfortable. So remind yourself that struggle and discomfort is part of the growth. You're being asked to embrace all of this struggle. You're being asked to embrace this discomfort, because when we think like in a victim consciousness way, we our mind is programmed to talk negatively to us and say, "I'm not good enough. This is too hard. This is overwhelming me. I'm not sure how to proceed. I don't have abundance. Other people do. I don't know how to do it. And no matter what I do, I don't succeed." So this is exactly what I mean by you need to clear your mind, because in the fifth dimension, what has happened is that Earth is already in the fifth dimension. Okay, so that means your words and your thoughts are amplified in power right now. So you really need to, we all really need to dig deep and look at ourselves and say, where am I investing time? Where am I sending my thoughts? Where am I sending my energy? Where am I um, talking negatively to myself? Many of us have been spoken down to by our parents, including myself. This is something I struggled with from the very beginning, because in my upbringing, my father especially was a very kind of like old school father, like harsh talking, always putting you down, like you're not good enough, that kind of stuff. And I had to consciously reprogram my mind and and anytime I heard a negative thought, I had to replace that with a positive thought. And I didn't do that when I was young. I figured that out much later, when I started studying the ancient texts, and I realized the power of mind magic and the power of the thoughts, the power of words. So many of us, we're still on autopilot, because the way we've been spoken to as children has gotten embedded in our DNA. And now, if you were spoken down to, chances are you're still speaking down to yourself. Okay? So really pay attention to how your internal mechanism is speaking to you. Are you speaking words of growth? Are you speaking words of encouragement? Are you speaking words that reflect a can do attitude, a warrior attitude, an expansive attitude? Because this expansion is what's being asked of you. And we cannot expand, we cannot stand up and rise in our power if we're constantly drowning ourselves with negative self-talk. And that's why one of the tips I can give you, in addition to clearing your mind is fine. But then when you're back into your daily routine, you're still going to, by habit, by default, we still go into that negative self-talk. And you have to start first by paying attention to what are all the aspects of your life where you're still engaging in this negative self-talk. And then one very powerful tip I can give you is listen to positive affirmations that reprogram your mind. And that's something I did for approximately 7 years. In fact, I should not be stopping now, because there's no limit to how much you can fill your mind with positive affirmations. So the way you do that is, before you go to sleep, go to YouTube and look up positive affirmations for health, or positive affirmations for abundance, or positive affirmations for creating the life of your dreams. And it can be anything. You can even, the best is, don't even listen to someone else's talk. Record it on your own. And you record affirmations like, I'm creating the life of my dreams. I am manifesting my dream home, my mansion by the ocean. I am manifesting a beautiful, loving family who's fully harmonized and synchronized with me. I am manifesting my dream soulmate who loves me and supports me and accepts me just the way I am. So by doing this, let's say you record this as a 1 hour long affirmation, and you can put this a lot of thought into it. If you don't have the time to do that, or if you don't want to do that, you can go to YouTube and look up other positive affirmations that have already been recorded, and they apply to everyone. So um, listen to that before you sleep, okay? Because what happens is, when you're sleeping, your mind is not sleeping. Your mind never sleeps. Your mind is awake. I'm talking about your subconscious mind. Your conscious mind can sleep. You won't know what happened at night, but your subconscious mind, even if somebody's talking in the next room, your subconscious mind is picking it up. That's why it's very important to pay attention, to never fall asleep in front of the TV. If the TV is on, and you fall asleep, and like the news channel's on, you're screwed, because the news is just bombarding your subconscious mind with these negative thoughts. So instead, what you do is you reprogram your DNA by accepting new programming instructions. And these positive affirmations, think of them as programming instructions that give your DNA an overhaul, and they tell you, rewire you completely. And suddenly, it's like, you know how you can go through hypnosis, and suddenly many people have had success with this. Through hypnosis, they reprogram the subconscious mind, and people who've been chain smokers for 20 years suddenly drop the habit. That's exactly how positive affirmations work. It's like a form of hypnosis, but in a very powerful, direct way. And it aligns you to the path of empowerment. And it allows you to create anything you desire, because you suddenly go from I can't to I can. And you start paying attention. Once you change your own internal dialogue, then you start realizing, oh, people in my life are also talking negatively to me, and there are some changes that need to be made. Because until we're correct inside, we can't change our surroundings. Once we're right, once we know the dialogue has changed within, once we're no longer talking down to ourselves, then we pay attention to our surroundings and say, oh, now who am I surrounding myself with? Many people are struggling with family members who are constantly putting them down. They'll send you a text and say, oh my God, I'm so deflated. And they'll pull you into their misery. They'll tell you their stories, how hard life is, and how you cannot achieve anything. So you have to pay attention. Are you living your story, or are you living their story? Right? So once you start reprogramming, once you take your power back by reprogramming your mind, and once you're on this path, you kind of like become a snob. You become a snob for energy, and you realize your limits, you realize your boundaries, and you say, um, this is okay, this is not okay. I allow this, I don't allow this. And the more you practice these boundaries, the stronger you become. And it's like, people are trying to criticize you, if people are trying to tell you you're not good enough, if people are trying to tell you that um, whatever you do doesn't amount to nothing, those kind of negative self-talks, we only allow those kind of talk into our life if we're talking to ourselves that way. But once we gain our own self-respect back, once we realize who we are, once we realize that we're not settling for less, we're here to become warriors, we're here to become troopers, and we're here to rise up beyond this density. That's what we came here for. That's when we realize that we're not allowing the outside to reflect to us what's not true for us, right? So we stop allowing, we change our environment, we change our scenery. And if it's uh, if it's children or people who are dependent on you in your family, if they're talking negatively to you, then that's just a matter of you having to train them. But if it's someone who's like on an equal footing, like your partner, your parents, then it really means that either either they need to go or they need to change. You don't need to change. You only need to focus on yourself. You know the path that you're following. If someone is supporting that path and is encouraging you, then they belong in your life. If someone is becoming a burden and they're sucking the energy out of you, then they do not belong in your life. It's simple as that. And sometimes these transitions are not black and white. Sometimes these transitions can take months or years to figure out. But the starting point is you becoming very crisp and crystal clear on your boundaries of what you allow and what you don't allow. And if you stay true to that path, then whatever needs to be whatever needs to fall away will just wither away. Whatever needs to be attracted to you will become attracted to you. And use your feelings as your guide. One thing that happens after our spiritual awakening is that we no longer tolerate bullshit. We can really discern between the lies and the truth. So use your feelings as your guide, because your feelings are actually connecting you to the causal plane in the sixth dimension. The causal plane is the plane of cause and effect. That's the plane where everything everything is created from. It's like the mental plane of creation. Everything, every thought that you send, every feeling that you send is going into the causal plane. So one way of thinking is that Earth ascended in 2012. We're already in the fifth dimension. But what most people don't realize is that they're manifesting their negative thoughts right now. Okay? So I'm going to say that again. If your life is not shaping out the way you desire, is because you are manifesting your own negative thoughts. That's very important to understand. You are always manifesting, whether it's conscious or unconscious. So pay attention to what you're creating. Your reality right now is based on the words you spoke 7 years ago, is based on the emotions you felt 3 years ago. It's based on every single thing that you've accepted as true that others have told you. So it doesn't change right away, but once you realize how this operating system works, then it becomes easy to plan for the future and say, okay, now I need to not allow these things that make me feel small, that box me into this a small little container that I no longer fit in. And I'm only going to allow what is expansive for me, what is better for me. And I'm also going to visualize the direction that my life wants to take me in. So let's see what else. Many people are dealing with feeling stuck in life, like they don't know what direction they need to go in. And I have a personal example of that, feeling that way myself. When I had my walk-in, you may or may not know this. People who've been watching our channel for 2, 3 years, I've shared this in a few videos in the past, but I'll just refresh. I had a very powerful walk-in experience in 2017, where higher aspect of my soul, it was like a, it was actually looked like a, this being that merged with me looked like a black puma, like a black cat. And if you I actually have a video footage of that. If you see that video footage, it looks like I'm purring like a black cat, and it looks like I'm. It was a very intense experience, like as if some huge energy is walking into me, and my. It was like a scene out of a horror movie where my body was contorting and distorting, and like it happened for about half an hour. Eldora was holding space for me, and since that being merged with me, I have not been the same. If you go back to my old channel, Siman Ra Ascension Updates, it's my old videos are still on YouTube. And if you see those videos, you'll literally feel like, who is that person? Like, I'm not the same person, and I've changed. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because after I had my walk-in, I had a 2, 3 year period where I had to completely reorient myself. And I feel this is a very similar example to what many people are feeling right now. They're feeling stuck in life. They're feeling they don't know which direction to go in. They're feeling like there's no motivation. They're feeling this grief from all these negative events in the world. So, one thing to remember is that grief has been severely underrated in Western society, because our society teaches us that if you're feeling sad, you should just shake it off and feel good. And many spiritual teachers teach that too, that you always have to raise your vibration, think positive thoughts. But do they ever tell you that you're also allowed to feel your grief? You're also allowed to feel your anger. You're also allowed to feel sadness and disappointment. Feeling all those emotions is the key to releasing them. And that's what many people miss. We keep running grief as if it's some virus or a dangerous disease. But grief is actually the the indication that you're letting something go and you're making way for something new to begin. So grief can also be used as a tool. One in Star Wars, when you see the Jedi's, they always take a negative situation and they alchemize it. They turn it into the most positive situation that can occur. So become like a mind Jedi. Take a negative situation like feeling grief, feeling despair, feeling anger, feeling stuck, feeling like you don't know which direction you're going in, and realize that holy shit, this is the most exciting period of my life, because if I'm going through all these changes, I can only imagine what blessings life has in store for me when I change my direction and I reorient myself to the new reality. Because all of these feelings of feeling stuck, feeling grief, feeling helplessness, feeling lack of motivation, and not even wanting to be on Earth, all these feelings are totally legit. You're supposed to feel that way. You're supposed to let go of all these burdens, because these burdens, these emotional burdens and weights that we've been carrying are supposed to be felt in order to be released. But that doesn't mean we go into this state of perpetual depression and misery either. It doesn't mean we always walk with our head down and never look forward. You're supposed to feel the grief, but then you're supposed to get over it and say, okay, I allow myself to sit with these feelings. Literally hold your hand to your heart when you're feeling these feelings and allow them. Nobody taught us how to allow ourselves to feel feelings when we were young. So we can do that for ourselves now. When we're feeling heavy, when we're feeling all of these emotions that want to be expressed, don't run away from them. Don't camouflage them. Don't put on a smile, but set time aside and even meditate during that time. Cry during that time. Release all these emotions, because every single emotion needs to be felt once. Once you feel it, it's out of your system. And when I had my walk in, I had to go through approximately 3 years of not being able to do jack shit. I was literally told by my guides that I'm not supposed to do anything. And that was killing my ego. And that's what it was supposed to do. It was killing my ego because it was um, this process of reorientation. It has many layers and many dimensions to it. So one dimension of feeling stuck is that your higher self is killing your ego by feeling stuck. Your ego just wants to drive forward. It's happy when you're doing something. It's happy when there's a purpose. It's happy when there's direction. Oh, I'm busy. I'm so busy. Like, oh yeah, I have a good life. I'm busy. But when you're not busy and bored, and when you have nothing to do, and when you're feeling stuck with these emotions, then you feel like, holy shit, like, what do I do now? You start feeling like crap. All your negative self talk comes in. But you have to realize that all of these negative feelings are being orchestrated by your higher self. So you release them, you let your past go, and then you're literally like cleaning your basement. You're clearing up all the junk that's in your lower chakras, in your higher chakras. All of these feelings and burdens that you're carrying are supposed to be released, so new light and new information can come in. And only when we release the old, only when we cut cords with the old, only when we release and let go of this whole cathartic process and give our body what it needs, nurture ourselves and be kind to ourselves, create space for ourselves, clear our mind, and focus on the life we wish to create. Constantly listen to positive affirmations, constantly verbalize to the universe what it is you wish to create. And then slowly you start to activate your DNA. And just by the mere process of clearing these negative emotions and sitting with them, you've now created so much space for light to come in. Do you understand? So there's a lot of self sabotage also that's taking place. Many people are um, indecisive. They're in counterproductive mindsets. Some people, when the energy gets too intense, instead of dealing with the intensity and sitting with your feelings and sorting things out, we start using that intensity in a negative way, which makes it worse. Like some people go into overeating, into drinking, into drug abuse, pornography, smoking, overspending, all of these things. These are all traps of the ego to keep you stuck in the old patterns. You cannot go into the new until you let go of the old. So if you're struggling right now with, let's say you're struggling with letting go of habits, letting go of people, not being able to do something. Let's say you know what you need to do in life and you're not able to do it. What do you do? One of the most powerful techniques that I was ever taught was the 5 second rule. And this may change your life if you apply it right. um, the 5 second rule works this way. Let's say you're on the couch and you've already woken up, you have your to do list in front of you, you've had your coffee, although I don't recommend coffee and I've cut it out myself. But let's say you're having coffee and you suddenly feel like, okay, I know I'm supposed to go check my email. I probably have like 10 problems that I need to deal with, but let me have another coffee. Let me go back in bed. And Siman said meditate, so I'm going to meditate more. But there's a certain point where you're letting go of meditation and you need to roll up your sleeves and become a warrior. We need to keep moving with the energy. So in that moment, when the thought occurs to you that you need to check your email and you're ready to dive in, how do you let go of procrastination in that moment? You use the 5 second rule. And I forgot the author who taught me this, but it was a very effective rule and we try it all the time. So the moment where procrastination kicks in, your mind has 5 seconds before it allows that procrastination to take over. So the moment you have that thought of procrastinating or putting off something you need to do, or you're certain you have to do, you just say in your mind like a countdown: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then get up. So the science behind this is that your conscious mind has a period of 5 seconds before you can activate a fail-safe switch and take over the mind with your willpower. If you apply your willpower in the first 5 seconds before procrastination occurs, you will be invincible. You will be able to do anything. And the only caveat is that you have to follow this rule like your Bible. You have to follow this rule no matter what. But if you do, then there's no force in the world that can stop you from doing what you're doing. So anytime before procrastination, just pause and say, within 5 seconds, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do push-ups, or whatever it is you need to do. Within 5 seconds, I'm going to get up and go to the gym. Or within 5 seconds, I decided I'm going to go to work early and I'm going to be more productive. I'm going to do it. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just force yourself to get up. And you'll find the more you train your mind this way, the more easier life becomes. It's literally like training a dog. Your ego and your mind are the same thing. They're like this dog that needs training. And the more you apply your willpower, you will realize that the negative energy that was overshadowing you before suddenly gets replaced by positive energy that becomes expansive, and it becomes more and more powerful, and eventually you're able to overcome anything. Let's see what else is happening in the collective. abundance, lack, and scarcity was also coming up very high. So I wanted to shed some light on abundance. Many people are feeling stuck that they're in their 3D jobs, or they may have a business that no longer resonates. And many people are waking up and they know that their lives are not the same, and they know that what they used to be doing, they're no longer resonating with, and they're not sure how to get out of this. It's like being in a rut, but also not knowing what else you're supposed to do, and what else you're supposed to do in this life. So for some people, it may show up as not knowing how to serve, or not knowing their soul's mission, or not knowing, if I've let go of my past, what do I do next? So again, the way the operating system of the fifth dimension works is that you're not supposed to use your logic. You're only supposed to use your feelings, and you're supposed to use the power of your thoughts. What do I mean by that? So I keep coming back to the wisdom of the heart and the power of the thoughts, and that's a very important tool you can apply. So the wisdom of the heart kicks in when you allow your mind to be silent and still, until you get rid of all the junk in your cipher, in your mental plane, until you allow all of this um, turmoil of energy and information to settle down by being still and practicing mindfulness. Until that point, your heart is not going to be accessible to you. And in the fifth dimension, your heart is the key. Your heart is what connects you to the whole operating system, because there's a plan carved out for you by your higher self. You're trying to get to that plan, but you can't get that plan with your conscious mind. And that's the main trap that light workers feel. It feels like a dead end. Like you're thinking, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? But you're not able to get it from your mind, because you're not supposed to engage your mind. You're supposed to clear your mind. And inspiration doesn't come from the mind, it comes from the super conscious mind. It comes from the higher self. And how can you activate your connection with your higher self? How can you So another way of saying is, activating your abundance is the same as activating your connection with your higher self, because once you're connected, then all your problems align. The connection with your higher self and your inner guidance system is the biggest breakthrough you can ever have in this lifetime. So when I was going through my spiritual awakening, I was forced to be still for 3 years. My guides didn't allow me to do anything. It killed my ego. But also what happened is, I literally was lying in the couch, and I remember in those days, Eldora used to go to work in the cafe, and I had quit my job, and I was literally lying on the couch, and some days I wouldn't get off that couch. And that was by design. I allowed myself, I fully surrendered from day one. That's why my journey was a little bit more rapid, because I didn't resist all these things, and I realized the wisdom behind them. So, one of the reasons you're feeling stuck, one of the reasons you're feeling that you're not able to get to where you need to be, or not even know where you need to be, is because your mind is clogged up. So, the first step is submit your ego and say, I'm not supposed to do anything until I receive direction from my higher self. That's step one. You're supposed to bring your mind, your emotions, everything that's holding you back, all of that to the surface and heal it. So, in those 2, 3 years after my walk in, I went through intense healings. And in that phase, I would recommend healings or energy healing for everyone. I would say, learn how to use a crystal and clear your chakras, learn how to use breathing exercises, learn how to bring sunlight and fill up your densions with sunlight. These are the most important things you do in order to come online with your new operating system. And yeah, so not knowing the direction that you're going in life becomes very clear when you step out of your mind, when you step out of your logic. And your direction is clear when you let go of the how and only focus on the what. Okay? So I'll say that again. You need to let go of the how, of how you're going to get there, and you're supposed to only focus on what you wish to create. So, in a practical way, the way to explain it is, um, the most powerful day to manifest is on a new moon. So we were recently reminded by our guides to start new moon ceremonies again, which we did very powerfully this last new moon, last week or so. So what we do is every new moon, we write down everything in our notebook with hand. And we create a crystal altar, we light a candle, we connect with our higher self and our guides. And we don't think of the how. We just say, um, higher self, I want to amplify my abundance. I'm making this much right now, and this is my ideal goal. I wish to be in a business or job or a career or a life path that really drives me, drives my soul, lights my soul on fire, brings happiness, brings abundance, brings prosperity. Um, and your logical mind will say, what? Like in the beginning, your logical mind, if you still have the negative self talk, it will say, you're out of your mind. That's not even possible. Why are you even bothering to write that down? Like, this stuff doesn't work. So you have to pay attention to all these negative thoughts and let go of the how, because your logical mind will say, how in the world are you going to do this? That's what you need to cut out. This is the secret formula I'm giving you. You're supposed to cut out this negative criticizing voice and say, I don't need to know how, because the way the operating system of the fifth dimension works is that your thoughts create your reality. So when you realize that you're only projecting positive thoughts and you're writing down your intentions, and write down your intentions in great detail. Like if you wish to manifest a mansion by the ocean, feel what that mansion feels like when you walk out of the door and you feel that ocean, you look at the sunset, when you dive into your warm jacuzzi, how does it feel when you are hugged by your ideal soulmate partner? How does that make you feel when he opens the door for you, when he acts chivalrous, when you feel the warmth of an embrace? All of these things that you wish to manifest, envision them in as great detail as possible, because your feelings, like I mentioned, the feeling sensors are the homing beacon to the reality you wish to create. And that also works in a negative way. If we're manifesting, if we're in a situation in a life where which is undesirable, it's because we're not paying attention to what feelings we're allowing to exist in our body. It means that you're going into grief and you're going into grief and sadness and despair, but you're not just releasing it, you're recycling it like a washing machine. You're not supposed to recycle these feelings, you're supposed to feel them and flush them out. You're supposed to use energy healing techniques and accelerate, you can really accelerate clearing up your chakras so that they're not clogged up with these feelings constantly. And look up how to clear your chakras using crystal technologies, as well as our psychic protection course, which goes into great detail in how to do psychic surgery on your chakras using crystals. These are very important techniques and tips, and we'll also be using teaching these tips in our human to superhuman course, which is coming up in the New Earth Mystery School. So these are some of the things, practical tips and advice that I wanted to leave you with, and I hope that helps. And I had intended this to be like a short, quick update, but it ended up being an hour and 10 minutes or so. But I'm really glad, because I felt like I was just in the flow and I was just connecting with the collective energy. And I felt like a lot of good information, a lot of practical tools and tips were given out. And I really hope that you guys benefit from this. It's my sincerest desire that everybody creates the life of their dreams, because right now we're already in New Earth. Many people don't realize that they're already in New Earth. But the only thing that's keeping them blocked, the only thing that's keeping the veil still around us, is that the prison of the mind. The prison of the mind is everything right now. You're supposed to know how to get out of this. You're supposed to use all these practical tips, tools, and advice that I give you: eating healthy, eating clean, flushing out your system, feeling your thoughts, using crystals to flush out your chakras, listening to positive affirmations, surrounding yourself with people who only encourage you, and using your boundaries to define what's allowed in your reality, what's not allowed, and being okay with letting go of the past, being okay with letting go of things that fall apart and don't resonate anymore, and don't get stuck in the grief. Feel the grief and move past it. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this talk, and I love you from the bottom of my heart, and we'll connect very soon. Take care.